Welcome back. When it comes to the public's health, we should all have equal and fair access to the services and materials needed to maintain it. But political decisions and public policy often create conditions that harm our nation's health. They create health inequities. And Spectrum Health is hosting a free virtual event that addresses those inequities. Lynn Todman joins us this morning to share more. Hi, Lynn.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely our pleasure. An important topic to talk about. Tell us more about the Community Grand Rounds Initiative. That's what this is part of, right? The Community Grand Rounds Initiative. What is that?
Correct. Community Grand Rounds is a speaker series that is complemented with a series of community conversations to highlight the ways in which structural racism impacts the health of African American and other communities of color. We launched this initiative at Spectrum Health Lakeland about 3 years ago when we realized that there were significant disparities in health outcomes, particularly life expectancy and death rates, experienced by African Americans in Berrien County and notably in Benton Harbor. So that is the origin of Community Grand Rounds.
And that's where it started. And obviously the problem isn't just in Benton Harbor or Berrien County. I mean, this is a widespread issue. What can viewers expect to learn during this free event?
Yes, they can expect to learn how political decision-making, political discourse, decision-making shape the conditions that impact our health. So it's important to know that when we make public policy at the federal, state, or local level, those decisions impact the distribution of resources that are really, really important for health, whether it's quality housing, food, quality schools, safe neighborhoods. And it is important that if we are going to improve the health of everyone in our communities and to advance health equity in particular, that we intervene in those decision-making processes to make sure that they yield a distribution of resources that enable everybody in all of our communities to be healthy.
Truly important work to get to the source of the issue and start repairing it there. Daniel Dawes, now he's your keynote speaker for this.
Yes.
Just share more about Daniel and his work.
So Daniel Dawes is the executive director of the Health Leadership Institute at Morehouse School of Medicine. He has been doing work around health equity for a very long time, and several years ago wrote a book called The Political Determinants of Health, where he explained how, in particular, federal legislation and public policy impacted access to health resources. So he is a noted speaker and very knowledgeable about how political decisions impact health. He's trained as a legal scholar.
And when it comes to this discussion, is this something that we need to be having locally first before this spreads out to maybe a national view?
Well, it is a discussion we're having locally, and it is a discussion that has a national audience as well. So in particular, right now in Berrien County, we're acutely aware of how policy decisions have impacted the water quality in our region. And then nationally, we're acutely aware of how political decisions have impacted, for instance, the pandemic. The incidents, who got sick, who was hospitalized, and who died. So this discourse is happening both locally and nationally, and it needs to happen at both levels.
Absolutely. And of course, I'm sure the Flint water crisis is in there somewhere as well with some policy decisions. Let's talk about when the event's happening. It's a free event. It's a virtual event, correct?
It is a free virtual event. It's taking place on Wednesday, November 17th. It starts at 2 o'clock. There'll be a chance to ask Mr. Dawes questions toward the end of the presentation. Ends at 3:15, and we're, love to have everyone participate in this to hear this important information.
Well, it's called Community Grand Rounds, right? The Political Determinants of Health Inequities with keynote speaker Daniel Dawes. The event, as you heard Lynn just say, is absolutely free and happening virtually tomorrow online at 2 in the afternoon, just an hour of your time, hour and 15 minutes. You want to learn more about this event? Maybe register for it? SpectrumHealthLakeland.org lynn.org/CGR. Thanks so much for the time and the information this morning, Lynn.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely.